Halloween was always a special time in Hollow Grove, a small, picturesque town nestled in the heart of New England. The town's historic houses were adorned with cobwebs and jack-o'-lanterns, and the crisp autumn air carried the scent of burning leaves. But beneath the festive decorations and the laughter of children lay a sinister secret that had haunted the town for generations. I was in high school at the time, and my friends and I had decided to spend Halloween night exploring Hollow Grove's most infamous landmark, the old, abandoned mansion that stood on the outskirts of town. The mansion had been the home of the Delacroix family, an enigmatic clan with a dark reputation. Legends of strange happenings, disappearances, and eerie apparitions had swirled around the Delacroix mansion for decades. As night fell and the moon cast an eerie glow over the town, we gathered in front of the mansion. Its imposing silhouette loomed against the night sky, its windows like empty, soulless eyes staring out into the darkness. With flashlights in hand, we ventured inside, our footsteps echoing in the cavernous foyer. The air was heavy with the musty scent of decay, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets long forgotten. We explored room after room, each one filled with antique furniture draped in dusty sheets. It was as if time had stood still in the mansion, frozen in a bygone era. As we ascended the grand staircase, a chilling breeze swept through the hallway, extinguishing our flashlights. Panic set in as we fumbled to relight them, our fingers trembling. And then, in the darkness, I heard it, a soft, mournful wail, like the cry of a lost soul. My friends heard it too, their faces pale with fear. We followed the sound, which led us to a door at the end of the hallway. With trembling hands, I pushed it open, revealing a room shrouded in darkness. The wailing grew louder, more agonized. As we entered the room, our flashlights revealed a sight that would haunt our nightmares for years to come, a figure, draped in tattered, blood-stained robes, hunched over in the corner. Its face was hidden in the shadows, but its cries were unmistakable. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized that we were in the presence of a vengeful spirit. The Delacroix family had not rested in peace, and their tormented souls now sought retribution. The figure turned toward us, its face contorted in anguish, and I could see the empty sockets where its eyes should have been. It reached out to us, its bony fingers like claws. With a scream, we turned and fled from the room, the wailing following us down the darkened hallway. We raced through the mansion, our hearts pounding, our breath coming in ragged gasps. As we burst out of the mansion and into the moonlit night, the wailing ceased, and an eerie silence settled over the town. We never spoke of that night again, but the memory of the vengeful spirits of the Delacroix family would haunt us forever. Halloween in our town was a grand affair, with the highlight being the annual costume parade that wound its way through the streets. It was a tradition that had been passed down for generations, a celebration of creativity and community spirit. But one fateful Halloween, the parade would become a nightmarish descent into darkness. I was in my late teens, and my friends and I had spent weeks preparing our costumes for the parade. We were determined to outdo ourselves and create the most unforgettable experience for the townsfolk. As the night of the parade approached, excitement filled the air. We donned our costumes, elaborate, otherworldly creatures, and joined the throngs of people lining the streets. The parade began with a burst of music and fanfare, and we marched proudly through the town, waving to the cheering spectators. But as we made our way through the darkening streets, an unease settled over me, like a shadow that couldn't be shaken. As we rounded a corner and entered a narrow alley, I noticed something strange, a figure, cloaked in darkness, standing at the end of the alley. It was completely motionless, and the mask it wore was a grotesque, twisted visage. My friends and I exchanged uneasy glances, but we continued on, thinking it was just another participant in the parade. But as we drew nearer, I could feel a malevolent energy emanating from the figure. Suddenly, without warning, the figure lunged toward us, its movements unnatural and swift. It reached out with skeletal hands, grabbing hold of one of my friends and pulling him into the darkness. We screamed in horror, but there was no sign of our friend. The figure had vanished, leaving us in a state of shock. The parade continued around us, the music and revelry oblivious to our terror. We frantically searched for our missing friend, but he was nowhere to be found. As we reported the incident to the authorities, we learned of a chilling legend that had haunted our town for generations, the curse of the costumed parade. It was said that every Halloween, a malevolent entity would join the parade, disguised as a participant, and would claim the soul of one unsuspecting reveler. The curse had been passed down through the ages, a dark legacy that had claimed countless lives. We had become the latest victims, our friend lost to the curse forever. Halloween in our town would never be the same, as the curse of the costumed parade cast a long and sinister shadow over the festivities. The invitation had arrived mysteriously in the mail, a black envelope adorned with an elegant, silver mask. It read, "You are cordially invited to the Midnight Masquerade, a Halloween party like no other." My friends and I were intrigued by the enigmatic invitation, and we couldn't resist the allure of a secret Halloween party. We donned our finest costumes and made our way to the address indicated, an old, sprawling mansion on the outskirts of town. As we approached the mansion, we were greeted by the sight of elegantly dressed guests, each one wearing a different mask. The atmosphere was filled with an air of mystique and anticipation, as if the very walls of the mansion held untold secrets. The party was a spectacle of opulence and extravagance, with rooms filled with chandeliers, velvet curtains, and marble statues. The guests moved gracefully through the mansion, their masks concealing their identities. As the night wore on, the partygoers grew more animated, their laughter and conversation filling the air. It was a night of revelry and indulgence, a celebration of the mysterious and the macabre. But as the clock struck midnight, the mood in the mansion took a sinister turn. The lights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The guests fell silent, their masked faces frozen in anticipation. A figure emerged at the top of the grand staircase, a tall, cloaked figure with a silver mask that glinted in the dim light. The room seemed to grow colder as the figure descended the stairs, its presence commanding our attention. Without a word, the figure began to perform a macabre dance, its movements graceful and haunting. It was a dance of death, a mesmerizing display that held us all in thrall. And then, with a sudden, violent movement, the figure revealed a dagger concealed within its cloak. It lunged toward one of the guests, its blade gleaming in the darkness. Panic erupted as the guests tried to flee, but the mansion seemed to conspire against us. Doors slammed shut, trapping us in the rooms, and the windows were sealed with an unseen force. The figure moved through the mansion with deadly precision, claiming one victim after another. Its silver mask never revealed a hint of emotion, as if it were an instrument of death itself. My friends and I huddled together, our hearts pounding, as we tried to escape the mansion's grasp. But the figure drew closer, its dagger glinting in the dim light. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished, leaving us in a state of shock. The mansion's hold on us was released, and we fled into the night, our hearts heavy with the weight of the horrors we had witnessed. The Midnight Masquerade had lived up to its name, a night of terror and bloodshed that would haunt our nightmares for the rest of our lives. We had learned the hard way that some invitations were best left unopened, and some secrets were better left buried in the shadows of the past.